Welcome to Pat's Cast, the unofficial Regina Pats podcast. This is our episode for November 18th, 2018. I'm Matt.
I'm Chris.
High off behind the Kootenay net. Backhands it to the left point for Kyle Walker. Walker fakes the shot, then wrists it toward the goal. Tipped and they score! Sebastian Strue in his first game in a Pats uniform.
Let's get the puck over 2-on-1 chance. Precision with Henry. Henry takes a pass left side. He scores. Nick Henry with his hat-trick goal. Two-on-0 shorthanded. Smallwood right side. Krebs shoots. Right blocker save for Dean McNabb.
Okay, so we're on our traditional yearly exhibition road trip. It's been, the past couple of years, it's been a bit of a challenge, and this year no different so far. We're 3 games into it, and we have 3 losses. Boy, I don't know where you want to start with this one. I guess we can go chronological order. The Kootenay game was on the Tuesday. They were well rested. It was different than last year where they got on the bus and had to drive all the way to Portland. They should have been well rested coming into a team that Kootenay, frankly, isn't all that stellar. And it was a really poor effort. It was a bad game.
Yeah, that game was rough. We both kind of thought that was a very winnable game going into it. You know, that's a good starting point if you can pick up 2 points on the road trip, right?
It was winnable, and it had to be winnable. We needed something out of it, right?
Yeah, like some of the other games, like the Vancouver game, I didn't expect us to win, but so getting a start at 2 points off the starting game of this road trip would have been real nice.
Yeah, but it was a weird game. You have Max Paddock go out. Would he play 8 minutes? Goes out after an inadvertent slide in from one of their players, and he got cut. He was bleeding. He tried to make it through, but I'm not sure if he needs some stitches or what happened. But
they said his nose just wouldn't stop bleeding. Okay. So
I wonder,
it was a total accident.
Yeah, no fault there. You just wonder if that throws off a team a little bit. It's different than when you pull them and it's the team sometimes responds, but this was so unexpected and a bit of an accident that the team just was not. They had no rhythm. It was a bad game. They gave up quick goals. 2 minutes 46 seconds in the first period. It was weird. Kootenay scored almost all their goals early on in the periods. Right, 2:46 in the first. 2:03 in the second, then again 2:20, and then 1:38 in the third. I don't know, just within a few minutes they were scoring goals right out of the gate. Just a weird, odd game that way. The one thing I want to say is, hey, no penalties in the first period for either team, so that was good on our part. So
yeah, but then the second and third was kind of ugly.
Yeah, we reverted back to our old selves, taking how many did we end up taking? 5. So after not taking any in the first, taking a bunch in the second and third. So I don't know.
And those early goals, early in the period, are kind of tough to give up.
Well,
they're always early in the period and late in the period, you don't want to give up, right? You want to go out there, fresh ice, have some good shifts, but when you're giving up a goal, it's tough. And you're giving up multiple goals, right?
Because what was it was a close game. I mean, tied 1-1 after 1. And then, to give them up, it just sets the tone for that period, and then you're on your heels, and okay, come out to the third. It's what, 3-2, bam, they score again. It's just
yeah, exactly.
You had that kind of fresh start. So
yeah, and then we had a 5-minute power play after that big hit on Pierce.
Right.
I think we'll get into that one later.
Mm-hmm.
But then we took penalties during it, right? And that negated that basically 5-minute power play we had.
It just feels like we say it every week. It's just the penalties are just so disheartening, and this team cannot afford to take them. But they keep on doing it.
and like when we do kill it off, it's killing our guys. Like you
Yeah.
can't generate anything 5-on-5 when you're wasting your time and energy killing penalties all the time, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
When we
exactly.
do get out of a penalty without giving up a goal.
Just no energy, and even in the building though, like looking around, it was sad watching the game. Just the official attendance says 1965.
Yeah,
There's
it was pretty sparse.
pretty
Like,
sparse, 2,000 people there.
yeah, and in a bigger building, it holds over 4,000, I believe. So
Right. Okay. Yeah, this one we had to forget this one and move on. Unfortunately, had to move on without one of our players, Nyhoff. Took a major boarding and then got a main game misconduct for this. What did you feel about it?
I'm not surprised that he got the game misconduct.
Yeah.
Um, it the result was ugly, but I mean, he tried to push him from the side,
Yeah.
and he didn't hit him from behind. You know, that's the thing. Like he tried to push him from the side, but it was just in that vulnerable kind of area where he's 10, 15 feet from the boards and going towards the boards, right? And
Yeah.
he kind of fell forward, and it definitely was. I don't think there was any intent to hit him from behind, obviously, but
No.
yeah, it was bad. Just the outcome of the play, so it looked bad, right? And with all these suspensions we've been seeing lately, I'm not surprised he got a game.
Phil the Thrill was pretty adamant that it was, and of course he's a homer, but he said it was not a hit from behind.
It clearly wasn't not a hit from behind.
No, it wasn't a hit from behind. It was a hit from the side a little bit. It's just more the trajectory of the
Yeah,
player
he just
kind of
he
carried him.
pushed him. It
Yeah.
wasn't even a hit. You could see him just try to push him from the side, and yeah, it wasn't even a body check. It was like a push.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So
uh,
it's not. I guess we even if we don't agree with it, it's not surprising. It's at least somewhat consistent with what's been going on this year so far.
kind of leads me into the other play, the Pierce hit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I'm surprised that didn't get a suspension. You know, the guy clearly left his feet and hit Pierce in the head. So I really don't understand that.
Right.
Like I'm very surprised there was no suspension there. So you watch a video and you can clearly see he launches himself into Pierce. So
Yeah.
I don't know, right? So maybe they have some better video, but I mean the Kootenay production is pretty weak, like compared to Vancouver the next night, which had multiple camera angles and replays and all this. Kootenay, it's pretty rough production
I
video
wonder.
wise.
I wonder who's making the call and what they're using. Is it just the same footage that we're seeing, or is it? There
I'm
must be
sure
some
it's gotta be,
discussion with
and
the
maybe
referees too, right?
yeah, I'm sure they have some discussion as well, right? So,
Yeah.
but I mean, they that's the only video that they have, I'm sure, like unless somebody was in the building that night seeing
Mm-hmm.
it live, but I'm pretty sure the same guy makes all the calls
Yeah.
on the
Yeah.
suspensions. So
So then, how does Nyhoff get one and the other guy not?
yeah, that's
That's
kind
a
of what
good
I'm surprised
question.
about.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I'm not surprised that Nyhoff got one, but you know, Lucas on Twitter there, he kind of agrees with us that Nyhoff didn't seem to deserve a suspension, but
It is. Yeah. With every sport is under such scrutiny now. But yeah, it just brings up why didn't the other guy? Like, that's where the consistency falls apart. We can be okay with things if they're consistent, and then if that
yeah, and it seems have been pretty consistent
right.
with
Yeah.
some sort of suspension with almost
Yeah.
every 5-minute major. It
Yeah.
seems,
Yeah.
you know.
And a
So
game
I'm not saying
misconduct. Yeah.
every single one was getting a suspension, but it seems like the majority are. So, and Pierce is still out. Like it's not like he
Yeah.
wasn't hurt on the play. He hasn't played since. So
And that's sad. He was starting to
yeah,
come.
he was playing well.
His game was coming together.
Yeah, especially when we're already down other forwards.
Right.
So
Which brings up Strew coming in. So he's a 19-year-old who actually played with Kootenay last year and was sent back down to BCHL. And I was just asking, I was trying to think. I couldn't remember, like, so was he, once a player gets sent down to BCHL, are they on waivers or whatever it is? But he would have to have been on their 40-man is it a neg list? Is that what they call it in?
Yeah,
Yeah,
protected list or whatever,
protected
right?
list. Yeah.
So yeah, you
So
can send a guy down but still have his rights, or you can
right.
just outright release him.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like kind of what we did with Gurney, we just released him, I believe, right?
Okay.
So
Okay.
instead of bringing him back, we decided to pick up this other guy, kind of thing, I believe.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. I
so
was surprised we didn't bring Gurney back. They must just not have.
really liked what they saw here.
Yeah, they must. But hey, Strew. I mean, he scores a goal in that game, and
Yeah,
he's on power play one now. He's made an impact here already quite quickly.
yeah, and you
So
can see he's got some skill. Like you can see he's got some hands, and he's got
absolutely.
he's making some plays.
I guess the question we had was, how is he not on anyone else's roster? Right? Like,
Yeah,
did he just fall through the cracks and
yeah,
one of our scouts saw him sometime in the BCHL and had him on a list? And I don't know. Funny how this
yeah,
stuff happens. But he certainly
yeah. And
looks
it's
like he fits in the dub. No
yeah,
problem.
for sure. And it's not like Kootenay has a wealth of talent that
Right.
they
Just
he's
release this guy.
expendable. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe they just didn't jive with the coaching staff or whatever. You don't know any
Oh,
of that off ice
always,
stuff. So
always, and politics and this and that, and who knows. I was kind of concerned when I first saw the release, and I looked him up and I saw he was German. I thought, oh my God, did we get rid of one of our imports? And he's filling an import role, but he's a dual citizen. His dad played CIS in Manitoba, I think it was. So he doesn't take up an import spot, which is nice. But that was my first. I thought someone get injured and we had to release an import or what happened, but that's not the case with him.
yeah, another thing from that game, I thought Riker Evans has really been playing well lately too. He's getting some more minutes with Galvis getting traded.
Yeah,
I thought he
yeah.
had a pretty decent game in Kootenay. Some good offensive chances, some smart plays. He had that.
I think we've
Just
both
some.
been happy with his play and how he's fit into the team and the role that they've expected from him.
Yeah, and like
Um,
he's not afraid to jump up in the rush for being a young guy. He's scared, not playing scared kind of thing,
no,
right? He's
not at all.
he's asserting himself, so that's good to see.
We had to pull up Mitchell. Sorry, we didn't get to see him play. He was injured in our rookie camp, or which camp was it in the early
Yeah, I'm not
fall?
sure for sure.
There was playing down in Colorado, I believe. So we called him
Yeah,
up for
he's an
these three
American,
games.
so
Yeah, I called him up for these three games. I was wondering if he was 15 or 16. He was wearing the full cage, but you were saying he's 16. So
yeah, I think he said it was 16, I
yeah,
believe. So,
yeah.
but
Typically, you see a guy in the cage and you just assume he's 15, but um,
yeah, he didn't get
he
much ice time. I know
no. And the ice time
Stooch
he did
was.
make, he no fault of him. I mean, it's a next step up, right? And
Yeah,
he looked a little uncomfortable out there. Wasn't through these three games at least. He didn't. But
yeah, I
for a
know.
call
I
up,
think at
I
the
mean, that's what he is.
he's a next year kind of guy,
Absolutely. You don't have
year
too much
after. So,
too high of expectations of him, and where we're sitting now with our roster, it's pretty rough. So yeah, we're having to call up some of these younger guys. Okay, let's talking about the younger guys now. How about the older guys? Hyman and Puto both.
I know even in the Vancouver game as well, they didn't play the greatest.
Yeah,
And Stooch called him out, I think, after the Vancouver game.
was it Vancouver?
I think it
It's just
was.
yeah.
He
Okay.
said our older guys have to be way better.
Yeah.
He's like, I can accept some inconsistency from young guys, but he's like, our older guys need to be better.
Well, let's get into the Vancouver game. Last week when we talked about this game, we said, "Hey, Vancouver doesn't score a lot. They don't give up a lot of goals." Well, that
Total opposite happened.
yeah, totally made us look like a bunch of idiots. I like with 14 total goals, obviously 10 for them, 4 for us. They played their backup goaltender who had a 1 point something goals against average going into this game. So you wouldn't expect to score very many. So even they were up that many, but still to give up a hat trick and 4 goals in total.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They'd only given up 5 once or twice and 4 like once before our game.
Mm-hmm.
So like, and then they gave up 4 to us, and then they gave up 6 the night after. So But yeah, they had given up very many goals, so we definitely upped that goals against average. But ours also jumped a bit too. So
Oh, like
yeah,
we were sitting there Friday night. Okay, let's hunker in here, watch the game. Started late. It was 9:30 start at that. Already a little tired. 54 seconds in, goal. You're like, okay, shit. And then 2 minutes later, another goal. And then 9:17 they score. 14:49, and then we're looking at 4-0. It's just like, oh my god, this is gonna be a long night.
yeah, that was an ugly start.
Yeah.
I think Paddock would have liked to have a couple of those back too. Yeah,
Yeah.
he seems to be a little inconsistent.
But when he's hot, he's hot. Like, and we need him to play good. If he's off,
Yeah,
man, we are gonna struggle. So
yeah, and then McNabb came in, and in that second period, he looked good. But the third period, I think the game was just
it
getting
was
out of
out of
hand, and
hand.
then
Yeah.
they scored a bunch there late. So
Well, so it was 4-1, and then we scored the shorty, and it was 4-2, and I thought,
yeah,
okay,
we're
here's
back
a
in it.
chance. And then Vancouver scores on that same power play. It's just,
Yeah,
and then it's 5-2,
was
6-2, 7-2.
yeah,
Like it just spiraled. And if I was a Vancouver fan, it would have been a lot of fun to be at, right? Because first of all, your team scores 10 goals, 2 fights,
yeah.
3 fights.
I don't know about that credit fight.
Well, I mean, hey, it wasn't much of a fight, but whatever. 3 fights, and
yeah,
it would have been a good game if you were one of their
definitely.
fans. But
I still remember a couple years ago when we put up 10 against Saskatoon. I still remember that one.
yeah,
For sure.
Oh yeah,
So
they'll remember. So there, we did our charity work. They'll get Vancouver gets a nice little game to talk about. I didn't
speaking of
feel.
those fights, though,
Yeah.
those fights were
So
some classics. Oof.
Mahovlich's fight, that was. I'm not huge on fighting. I don't celebrate it, but boy, that was a old school good fight. Like that is a good hockey fight. Now I want to say, like, there's some little bit of banner on Twitter, which you captured those fights and put them on Twitter.
Yeah,
Not even
well,
really.
when I came, Mitchell Blair was like, "Who cares about the score? Let's see those fights." Like, so I was like, "Okay, well, I'll put them up," and yeah, the game is clearly going away from fighting, but
Yeah.
I mean, people still have an appetite for it, as we
they
see by how bad our phones blew up after I posted these videos. Like, it was just unreal.
For what it's worth, we had like 100 and some followers. Our posts, we get a couple comments here and there. We don't get a ton of downloads every week. The last time I checked, this Mahovlich fight video had, what was it, 8,000 views? Like,
yeah, it's over 8,000 now. So
it is blowing anything out of the water that we've done combined.
Yeah.
Like, and it's just been the shares and the views and everyone, all that, and the retweets and the comments have been.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, so to say hockey's going away from fighting, it is, but people still
enjoy
have a
watching
bit of
good
bloodlust out there. And it was a good fight. And the thing is, and someone was talking about it, I mean, with all the stuff that's going on with head trauma and concussion and CTE, how can we say support this? My gut, I mean, this is not based on any science. My gut feeling, though, is like a hockey fight is different. I don't think you're getting a lot of leverage out of these hits. And now I've never been punched in the face. I've never been punched in the face on ice, so I can't judge the two and versus them. But it's not very often you see a guy, they're not injured from the fight. Like, there's not a guy getting knocked out cold.
Yeah, not
in
anymore.
A hockey fight. I think part of it's the leverage. Like, you're not getting a lot on the ice versus, like, say, football, where a guy is running and, like, launches his head at someone, right? That's a lot of energy. Whereas, I don't know. I'm batting out of my league here talking about science and head traumas, but I don't know. That's, if you want to know why we posted them and we kind of are okay with it.
I'm not saying I'm not saying, oh, this is awesome. Like, I
Yeah.
didn't make any comment on it. I just posted it as is. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not for it. I'm not against it per se. So, but people clearly were interested in seeing it. So,
Right. Absolutely. I mean, nothing else we've done has gotten any attention even remotely close to that. So the
yeah.
public still finds that appealing.
Yeah. And yeah, one guy was trying to stir something about the riders, and I was
Yeah.
like, what's going on here? Like,
Yeah.
we're not talking about football. Like, this is hockey.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like, whatever.
So, and that being said, we don't make a penny off it, so it could got 10 million views and we still win. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter either way. I don't know if it's
No.
something we'll continue. It might be just because people seem to like it, but to be honest, we only get the away games. I don't have access to the home game TV feed, so I don't know. But the thing is, the league won't post that stuff. The Pats won't post it.
No, they
WHL
don't.
won't post
No.
it. So
So,
I don't know. It's kind of up to the unofficial podcast to
Yeah.
do it.
I guess that's why we're here, I guess.
I don't know.
So-
Like until we'll see. Yeah.
So going back to the fight issue, so there was that fight with Wright and then Eric Hauk from Swift Current,
yes.
or was it Massey
Yeah.
and Hauk? I can't remember, one of the young guys. But
Yeah.
so I seen on the weekly report that Eric Hauk is out 6 to 8 weeks. So
Right.
now I don't know what kind of injury they have. It didn't really say. So I don't know. Maybe is it a hand issue or is it a head issue? We don't know, but it's it's a defined time, 6 to 8 weeks. So
Right.
maybe I can find out some information later on. But yeah, so
And that's
hopefully
the
he's
kind.
okay.
That's the stuff you don't want to celebrate in a fight, right?
Definitely.
A guy out
Right.
in his junior career, 4 to 6 weeks. That's a lot for him, right?
Yeah,
To me,
6 to 8.
68. Sorry, yeah. Like so, to me, when you hear about injuries like that, I hope it's not a head injury because of the length of time. It sounds like it could be, but when it has a defined time frame like that, it almost seems like it might be. I'm hoping it's like a hand fracture, like a boxer's fracture, and that's what
Yeah.
it is. If it has that kind of time frame, they know this far, they're this close to the time that it happened and how long it's going to be. I hope that's what
Yeah.
it is, and it's not when he hit the ice or something like that. Because there wasn't I don't think there was any really great punches landed that would cause anything major, but it's when they hit the
Yeah.
ice that I always get worried about.
Yeah, when they tackle each other, I don't like that.
Yeah, yeah. Mahovlich's fight, they just got tired, I think.
Yeah,
They
they
were
just tired each
swinging,
other out. Yeah.
and they just stopped, and they're like,
Yep.
okay. Whereas, then Dubinsky's fight, I think what caused it was, so Justin Sourdiff stepped out of the box, just about took Dubinsky out, and I think Cole took a bit of exception to that.
Oh, he definitely took
tracked him.
exception to that.
Yeah, I think that's what the whole thing started off, and then they went at it, and he took, I think it was the last. They both took a couple shots actually, but the
Yeah.
last couple, I think, from Cole that he landed, started some leakage there on Justin's forehead. So
Yeah, definitely.
another one we put up wasn't as classic old school as Scott's, but
It was still a pretty good one.
it was
so.
a pretty good tilt. So, other than getting blown out, the score, it was kind of it was an okay game. We got a hat trick out of it. Henry got his hat trick. Some fights, other than getting scored on 10 times.
Yeah, it was a little rough.
Yeah. But hey, it's hockey. If it's entertaining, then
There's some weird bounces too that created some goals.
That corner.
That one corner. Yeah.
It wasn't even the stanchion. It was like,
It's on the ice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it was like,
The puck was. There's
Come
something
out
about
at-
the icing line.
yeah, it would come out at
puck
a right angle, right in front of the net.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bizarre.
Yeah. So that's
A couple times.
you can't
that
defend
happened.
against that.
No.
So
Well, we'll forget about that one.
yeah.
And then, so hopefully they forgot about it, moved on to Victoria. Now, this game went a little more how we were expecting. Outhouse in the net for Victoria, so we weren't planning on scoring too many goals. it was okay game. Like we were saying, when you look at the shots, Regina only tallied 5 in the first, 6 in the second, and 7th in the third. But it wasn't that it was that they were playing that bad. It was just actually a really strong defensive game by both teams, it felt like.
Yeah, like there was scoring chances, but there wasn't like shots on net. Pucks were getting blocked and shots were missing the net.
Yeah.
So like it wasn't a boring game per se.
No.
I thought it was a fairly entertaining game, close score. So,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
was next, next chance could, get another goal, take the lead. But yeah, there was just a lack of like hitting the net
Mm-hmm.
kind of,
Both
right?
teams, though.
So,
Like
yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely.
Victoria had 14 shots in the first, but again, they had 6 in the second and 7 in the third. Like, it was an odd game. Paddock played pretty good, so that was nice to see him bounce back and have a good game. Again, how many penalties did we take? 7 penalties, and we allowed 1 power play goal. We only had 3 power plays, no goals. Kind of bittersweet. Tanner Sidaway, of course, we traded away to Victoria this year, scored the game winner, and he was pumped when he scored.
Yeah, he sure was.
He wanted that. He wanted a big goal, and he got it. So,
Yeah.
good for him, I guess. But
it was some poor. Both goals against were easily defendable. We just got puck watching, and on that game winner, we got puck watching. Guys were looking at the guy behind the net, and
Yeah.
he passed it right out on Sidaway's tape, and he just put it in, made no mistake, and that was a tough one. And the first goal,
yeah,
Puto should have had the guy out in front of the net, but he kind of backed away from him, and the guy makes a play and puts it in.
Yeah, that
Like, I don't
first
know what
goal, I don't
happened.
know what Puto was looking at, if he was expecting a different movement on the puck, where it almost like he thought the puck was going to get ringed around, and he started moving that way, but then he left the guy in the front of the net. Like,
yeah, I know it was a bad play by him,
wasn't good.
unfortunately.
And then the second goal, we're all standing around with our back the wrong way and looking at the puck, and then it comes scooting out to Sidaway. Did we ever see him score a goal?
I don't know.
I don't know if he did. And then he freaking
Yeah.
scores the game winner against us. Oh my! Like, it's been a rough week.
Yeah,
Not a lot of good things to talk about here.
no. Oh, maybe we have to start moving on to the next week here. So
Okay, next week. Wipe the slate here. We're moving on. We're moving on to Kamloops, Kelowna, PG this week. These are some winnable games.
Yeah.
All 3,
I don't
really.
expect,
Not that we're going to win all 3.
I don't expect to win all 3. Yeah.
But they're winnable. Kamloops on Tuesday. What's your report on Kamloops?
They've got 8 wins. They just won 2 in PG. So they're hot now. They're getting hot now. So they have Dylan Ferguson. Like, he's one of the better goalies. Kind of a little surprising he came back. He's a 20-year-old with a contract. So, but he doesn't have great numbers. He's kind of got Paddock-like numbers, 3.5 goals against and under 900 save percentage.
Mm-hmm.
But looks like Kamloops have been scoring some goals lately. Zane Franklin, he's their top goal scorer, 13 goals, and he had 4 assists in PG tonight. So he's pretty hot. And then Jermaine Lowen, their captain, he's a big guy. He's got 8 goals this year. So other than that, they didn't really have much for depth scoring, but
yeah, they won 7-3 tonight in PG.
Okay, yeah.
So
yeah, like all 3 of these teams are kind of like on our level here. So we got to get some wins out of these teams here if we want to look to be moving up in the standings. Like,
right.
Yeah, we're gonna lose. We're gonna lose to these Vancouvers and Victorias more often than not, but we got to make hay on these lower end teams here.
Okay, then on to Kelowna on the Wednesday. So they switched up their coach here a couple of weeks ago to Adam Foote. And what do you say? 4 wins, 4 losses, and
another win. Yeah, they won 4 wins in a row, 4 losses in a row, and then a win.
Okay.
So
that's not too bad for a coaching change. So they're 9-13 right now. I mean, they're hosting the Memorial Cup in a couple of years.
Yeah, they kind of, I don't know. I don't think they had the best roster, but they got 2 trade deadlines to get it figured out. But
Yeah.
both their goalies are struggling.
So as it stands, it's a winnable game for us. Again, we know the key. We know what we have to do to win, and it's stay out of the box, play disciplined, and I mean we can win any game. It feels like, but if we're gonna
Yeah,
keep
like I think
taking 7,
I
8
think we can
penalties
put
a
up.
game,
I think we can put up some goals against Kelowna. PG might be another story. Both their goalies are pretty solid. So,
mm-hmm.
but I don't know. PG just gave up 7 tonight, so
Right?
let's see what happens,
Yeah.
right? So,
Yeah.
like, because PG's goalies both have great stats, but what do we know? We didn't think Vancouver was going to score many goals, and they put up 10. So,
Hey, we just read stats and try and predict, and yeah, that's why
yeah,
sports betting's so difficult because nothing seems to make sense. So, all right, and then a couple of days off, and then we're up in just one day off actually. So up into PG on the Friday, finishing off this BC road trip. PG sitting at 9-9.
their goaltending, their spread goals are spread out amongst the whole team. They don't really have any guys that are jump off the page at you. They're 6th in goals against, right? So they don't give up many, but they gave up a lot tonight. So who knows? Yeah. So
Yeah, between the two games with Kamloops, they gave up 12. So
yeah, so they'd only given 62 up before tonight. So
yeah,
just the goalies, Gauthier, he's a 17-year-old. He's draft eligible, and he won gold with the under-17s in the Holinka tournament in the summer there. So if he's their starter, but their backup Delora has just as good stats as he does. So kind of like a Vancouver situation where both goalies are quite good. So, and who knows which one we'll see. Maybe they see us as a backup goalie game. So
yeah, maybe. I don't blame them right now.
no, not at all. Yeah, no, it's.
Anyways, I mean, we're still playing. That one game we had two defensemen playing up on forward. Like we are just
Yeah,
a bit of
I don't know
shambly
if
right now.
Dubinsky got sat in those 2 games because he took some bad penalties the last game here. But yeah, so yeah, Creta was up, and then the Victoria game, Creta was scratched. So I don't know what happened there. If maybe he got hurt in that fight or what, but
Right.
But
Scholar's he's playing up there. How many games in a row now has he played?
Yeah, quite a few. And he drops back and plays defense on the penalty kill, and he's out there blocking shots left, right, and center. So, man, you got to commend the guy for doing that. Like, he's playing all over the map and playing pretty decent, I think. So,
yeah. Okay. Well, let's go around the league. PA still freaking rolling. They beat. I thought it might be a bit of a closer game, but they beat Brandon 6-0 on Saturday.
yeah, that was in Brandon, too.
Yeah, they've moved up to 20 wins, 1 losses. The 1 loss against Red Deer. Ian Scott got his goal. He tried once. I didn't see his initial attempt, where apparently he put a hole in the scoreboard. I guess he got one the other day, so good for him. That's always kind of cool to see goalie goals. How about Moose Jaw tonight? So this is the thing, right? We're looking at, hey, his Moose Jaw team we could eventually catch up to, and for that wild card spot, they rolled Kootenay 9-1 on Sunday here. So I don't know.
Yeah,
feels like teams going in 2 different directions here right now.
Yeah, definitely. And they roll into Kootenay, that's a winnable game for them, right?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, we got to beat these teams that are near us in the standings, and they
put a
crushed them
on
tonight.
Yeah. So teams going in 2 different directions. We have to start thinking and talking about the future here. We're not writing off this year, but let's start talking a little bit about next year. What do our age 19-year-olds look like for next year, do you think?
Well, Henry and Nocision have to be traded, in my opinion.
Right.
We got to recoup some assets / picks for them. So yeah, I don't know. Like, do we pick up a couple 18-year-olds in return? Because you can't trade for a younger player unless they're asking for a trade. So, like, it would be nice to trade for a 16 / 17-year-old, but right now that's pretty unavailable, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
So, because you look at next year, our 19-year-olds will be, or sorry, our 19s this year are Mahavlich, Pratt, Holmes, and Strew. So
those are our
four
20-year-olds going ahead, possibly.
for next year, yeah.
Yeah.
So right now we only have 4 potential 20-year-olds next year. Like we got no 19-year-olds on the defensive core and no 19-year-old goalies. So
So we talked last week about Henry and Lecition and what we should get and all that. But the guy we didn't talk about was Pratt. So he's in a bit of a unique spot. I mean, 19 this year, 20-year-old next year. He's putting up points. Now, how much of that's related to who he's playing with on that line? But is he someone you see being trade bait?
yeah, I don't know. Do you trade him or do you keep him for next year, kind of thing? Like as of right now, you kind of look at Pratt, Holmes, and Strew would be your choice 20-year-olds.
Yeah.
You know, as much as you love Mahavlich in his game, you got 3 better forwards, in my opinion. So.
Yeah, that's a tough call. I guess it depends on the phone call they get and if there's any offers out there. See what they
for
can
sure,
get.
right?
Like, I would hate to see him go for like a 5th round pick or something silly like that.
Yeah, definitely. Right? You might as well keep him for next year.
Yeah.
That's all you're going to get.
Yeah, I think a quality 20-year-old that's been in the organization for a while is a valuable member. And
yeah, I don't know if we're maybe look for some defense for next year or what, you know, because 3 20-year-olds are going to be gone. And then all the rest of the guys are 17, 18. So I know Everett, I listened to WHL Unfiltered the other day, and Chad had the Everett beat reporter on, and he said they're definitely looking for a center. Like if they're going to make a move, they need a center. And I know Riley Sutter was getting lots of love on that Canada-Russia series. They're like, oh, this guy takes all the face-offs. And well, yeah, he's taken a few more than Lecition, but Lecition is clearly better, got a better percentage, better win percentage. So, you know, maybe that's a guy they're looking at. So
yeah, Everett would be a buyer too. I would think.
I think so. They look pretty good. Like, doesn't look like they've missed much of a beat since last year. You know,
no, even losing like Carter Hart.
Yeah, you have quite possibly the best goalie in the country for the last 2 or even 3 years, and your team's just as good. So
right, and they beat Vancouver yesterday.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, 6-5. Another unusual game for Vancouver.
Yeah, high-scoring game.
Yeah, so
you kind of look at the finals, how the teams have gone in opposite directions, and Swift Current was a way older team compared to Everett last year, and it shows this year, right? With them losing everybody, and and Everett kind of just continuing the roll into this season. Like they're just haven't really missed a beat.
Yeah, definitely contenders.
So, yeah, and then the other thing I got here is it seems like the ice could be moving to Winnipeg. Like it almost sounds for sure.
Yeah, so Kootenay was supposed to have a press conference or something the day after we played them, right? So on the Wednesday, for whatever reason, that fell through.
And now it's rescheduled for this coming week or something?
Yeah, it's this week. And so you were saying there was some they called themselves the Green Bay group or whatever, based on the notion that the Green Bay Packers are a community-owned team, and that's what they were trying to replicate or whatever you want to call it. So they've kind of disbanded or whatnot. So it sounds like the writing on the wall is it was a weird, awkward thing later this week. The Kootenay Ice were playing with the Kootenay Cowboys. What was it? Is that
Cranberry Colts?
Yeah. So jerseys of the BCHL team, their junior team, their junior A team, they were wearing their jersey. Like, bizarre.
Yeah, it was like a throwback night or something.
Yeah, a little. I don't know if it's tongue in cheek or what it is.
Oh, it's kind of ironic because they kicked that team out.
Exactly.
That team ended up folding.
That's why, when the Ice came in, this team folded. Now the Ice are wearing their jersey. Like, just a little bizarre.
And kind of on their way out the
Yeah,
door.
yeah. No, the ice are leaving. Like, who's behind it or what the thought is, but it's kind of weird.
Yeah. Yeah, weird. And and they're gonna be getting a whole bunch of upgrades to the rink, I guess, this summer. Like they're getting a proper video board, and they're getting new lights and new glass and all that stuff. So
But who's behind that?
I don't know if the town's
Right.
behind that
Oh,
then,
okay.
and not the team. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. And then so then I was reading Greg Jernan's blog, and he's like, well, now there's going to be a good WHL facility there. Maybe somebody else will be looking to move there. But I'm thinking like, well, the community doesn't support this team. Why would they support a different team? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So, because they say PG is not comfortable in their situation there, and maybe Tri-City isn't, you know,
Right.
that
Well, I
comfortable
remember
there. So,
watching or seeing at least highlights from the Tri-City playoff run last year.
right,
And
that's right.
their stands were vacant. They did. For
Yeah,
a decent team and in the playoffs, there was not a lot going on there. So,
yeah, they had a good team, not a decent
Yeah.
team. They had
right.
a good team last year.
Yeah. So they're not getting the love there. But it just seems odd to move to a market that couldn't support a team and is leaving. So,
Yeah,
Now you were talking, I don't know where you've heard this or not, but a team in Nanaimo, just to make that, it's not a horrible idea. What I would like to see is like a team like PG that's way out in the boonies go over to like a place like Nanaimo if they can support it. And, yeah, it would make that trip over to Victoria maybe a little more economical or feasible and make more sense if you're out there, you do Victoria and Nanaimo at the same time.
yeah, definitely. And I think WHL wanted a team there, but there was some sort of vote. I don't know if it was, you know, a citywide vote or just kind of the councillor vote, and it didn't seem like they were too interested in building a proper arena, because I think their arena is a little older, and they have a junior A team there as well. It seems to be fairly, they seem to be fairly good most times, the Nanaimo Clippers. So,
Okay.
and they've been there a while. So,
Which would, yeah, if a dub team came in, it'd probably be the same situation as Kootenay, that they wouldn't be able to handle both.
yeah, oh, definitely. So,
But I mean, like we said a few weeks ago, there's still, where is Kootenay going if they're going to Winnipeg? There's been no discussion on the facility yet.
Well, yeah, there's just kind of hearsay. Oh, there is a building coming, but nothing seems to be out there that's solid. Like, yeah, this building's going to be done ready for such and such a year / season, right?
Yeah.
So maybe this press conference that it's supposed to be coming out will give us some clarity. Who knows? So.
Mm-hmm. Okay, a little more Pats news, former Pats news. Austin Wagner and Josh Mahura both recalled to the NHL. Wagner played a few games with the Kings already, but this is Mahura's first crack at it. So, congratulations
just seen that.
to him. Yeah, that's really pretty good for him. You know, I didn't really. I'm no scout, but I didn't really feel like he was NHL caliber. But
Mahura.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely the offensive defenseman. So,
Right.
like, I don't know. I haven't seen his stats or any highlights, anything from his AHL stint so far. But
yeah, maybe he's been coachable and whatnot. But and speaking of former Pats players, a little bit of a different avenue is Connor Hobbs and his Hershey Bears. He's doing a podcast with his roommate.
I retweeted it the other day. There was
Check our Twitter. It's actually kind of worth a listen.
Yeah, it's hilarious because Colby Williams, expat as well.
Right.
They're roommates or housemates, and that podcast is just hilarious. It's just them shooting the shit. Like, they're just sitting there talking about all sorts of things, and there's no like structure or anything.
Yeah.
They're just
there's a guy there facilitating it, but not interviewing. And we've talked with other podcasts about interviewing players, and I mean, obviously we don't have a lot of access to players, but we haven't seeked it to try and bring that in because, frankly, player interviews are kind of boring. They're very generic. They're not going to say too much. They're all kids. It's going to be really kind of your run of the mill
Yeah.
hockey player interview. Oh, hard play, dig in the corners, supporter, all that kind of stuff. The same stuff you hear all the time. And the nice thing about this, what they're doing, is it's more of an entertainment show, and there's a guy kind of facilitating it, but then he just lets them go. And to me, the radio and media of this kind of nature is more about conversation and discussion. And anyways, it's really, if you have an hour, take a listen. It was fun. I hope they keep it up. Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
good.
and it's about off ice stuff. It's not about the hockey. It's just about kind of life and
exactly
kind of how they go about their day and what they do, and
which sounds
the Halloween story was hilarious.
Yeah, right. It's good. You guys should take a listen. To me, as I've always wondered, what I guess they're professional. What people, how they feel their day. Like, you're a professional hockey player. You play a game for a living, and you can't play it all day. So what do you do? And they get into that. And anyways, it was pretty fun. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's Bears Blue Line, and it's hosted by chocolatehockey.com. So
yeah. So yeah, good for them. I'm glad to see that. Another podcast, if you really want to kind of nerd out and get into the queue, is Herdcast. Out there, they're doing the Halifax Moose podcast, who are a darn good team this year and hosting the Memorial Cup. So they have lots to talk about. They have a good team, and I like listening. I just like listening to them talk. Actually, they're pretty funny, and they've got some good East Coast accents going there. So
if you want to keep up on the Memorial Cup host, and they're rolling out there.
Yeah.
So
Herdcast.
And then they gave us a shout out the other day, so we got to return the favor. And their podcast's pretty good. The one guy's been doing it for a while now, so
yeah,
they've got some good banter going on there. So
then, of course, our buddies over in the OHL Fanboys podcast, they do more of just a league-wide OHL podcast covering all the teams, and which is good too. I really like theirs. It's fun to listen to.
Yeah, just kind of keep up on the general league, kind of see who's hot and who's doing well there.
Yeah, WHL related. What do we have? We have
WHL Unfiltered.
Okay, we have WHL Unfiltered.
Yeah, that one's all right. They always it's just an interview, so they don't do too much league wide stuff. It's kind of more just general team by team. Like if they just talk to a certain guy, like the last one was the Everett beat reporter, so they just discussed kind of Everett and a little bit of the U.S. division. But it's not too bad if you're interested in listening to a certain team, getting some information from them.
Yeah, U.S. based ones, T-Bird Talk and Pucklandia. I don't know if T-Bird Talk's still going, and I don't know how much Pucklandia is publishing anymore.
I think T-Bird Talk might have just shut it down, unfortunately.
Okay.
And Chad does WHL Unfiltered and Pucklandia, so he's kind of lost a little bit interest on the Pucklandia side of things, which is based on the Portland Winterhawks. So he's kind of just doing the WHL thing instead now.
Yeah, and Lethbridge had a pretty successful one too, but they shut it down this year too. So
yeah, it's kind of surprising. Like there was team guys doing it, and they had some sponsors and stuff. Yeah. And I thought, this is a pretty really good production. Like
it was.
They had guests, like really good guests. Like they had GM on there and stuff like that. Like they're well connected because it was the radio guy doing it and other team guys doing it. So maybe they just didn't have the time. So
don't know what happened there, but to be honest, we're really one of the only WHL Canadian ones, at least for a team, regular series podcast out there. So not trying to toot our own horn, but no, we're happy to do it for you guys. Even we don't get a ton of listens, but we're happy doing it. It's a hobby, and boy, if we can post a few fight videos and get 10,000 views out of it, that makes us really happy. So what even makes us happier is real real people interacting with us and interacting with us on Twitter. So again, at WHL Pats Cast, if you guys want to tweet back to us anytime, we will definitely see it and read about it. And we'll probably talk about it while we're watching the games together this week. So anything you guys want to bring up and we can talk about. I think it's about time to wrap. Man, this is our longest episode ever. I thought going into this one, 3 shitty games, I don't have anything to talk about, but this is by far our longest one. So anything else you want to talk about?
Hopefully it lasts until the end here, but thanks for listening, guys.
Yeah, anyone who stuck it out, give us a tweet and we'll give you a shout out for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
I might just have to up the speed, listen at 1.2, get through it quicker.
Yeah. Maybe a little higher voice than usual. That's okay. Anything else you want to talk about?
No, I'm good.
Good. So. Okay, we will wrap it up. Okay, 3 games this week, and you'll be in Indianapolis, so we'll be doing that via distance. But
yeah, I'll be doing it on my vacation. I'll check in. We'll do it up. So
right on. We'll get one out for you guys, hopefully early that next week. And enjoy the games, and we'll talk to you later.
All right, see you guys.
Okay, bye.